Imagine you're on a late-night patrol, somewhere remote and silent. The moon is hidden behind thick clouds, and the only light comes from the green glow of your night vision goggles. Every shadow seems to hold a secret, and every rustle of leaves makes your heart pound. This is the reality for soldiers on watch. A tense, lonely vigil. But what if, in that shimmering green world, you saw something that shouldn't be there? Something from another time. This is the story of a soldier who experienced just that. A chilling encounter that blurs the lines between our world and the past. It's a story that has been shared in hushed tones among service members. A modern ghost story from the battlefield. The soldier, let's call him Sergeant Miller, was stationed at an old military base, a place with a long and storied history. The base had been active since World War II, and parts of it were practically unchanged since the 1940s. Old barracks, forgotten training grounds, and crumbling concrete bunkers dotted the landscape. It was a place where history felt alive, almost breathing. One night, Miller was on perimeter duty, scanning the familiar tree line that bordered a disused section of the base. It was a routine he'd done 100 times. The world through his NVGs was an eerie landscape of green and black. Suddenly, a figure flickered into view. It was a man walking slowly, deliberately, along the edge of the woods. Miller's training kicked in instantly. He froze, lowering his profile, trying to identify the intruder. But something was wrong. Terribly wrong. He lifted the goggles from his eyes for a split second, peering into the pitch-black darkness. There was nothing there. Just the swaying trees and the silent night. Confused, he snapped the goggles back into place, and there he was again. The figure was solid, clear as day through the electronic lens. A soldier patrolling the same ground Miller was, just out of sync with reality. His heart hammered against his ribs. This wasn't an equipment glitch. He'd tested his NVGs just hours before. This was something else, entirely. The figure was undeniably a soldier, but his uniform was all wrong. Miller, an expert in military history, felt a cold dread creep up his spine as he recognized the gear. The man wore the iconic M1 943 field jacket. The standard issue for American G is in the latter half of World War II. His helmet was the classic M1 steel pot, a shape unmistakable to anyone who's seen old war films. And the weapon he carried, it was an M1 Garand, the rifle that made a distinctive ping when its clip ejected. A legendary weapon, but one that hadn't been standard issued for decades. This soldier was a perfect snapshot from 1945, walking a patrol in the 21st century. He moved with a purpose, a weary gait that spoke of long marches and endless combat. He didn't seem to notice Miller at all. He was in his own world, or rather, his own time. Miller watched, mesmerized and terrified, as the spectral soldier continued his patrol. Miller wasn't just a soldier. He was tech-savvy. His helmet was equipped with a recording device connected to his night vision. Without taking his eyes off the figure, he made sure it was recording. He had to have proof. He couldn't just report seeing a ghost. They'd think he was losing his mind. He followed the phantom soldier's movements, his own modern rifle feeling heavy and useless. What could he possibly do? The soldier from the past walked along the old, overgrown path, heading towards a ruined concrete bunker that had been sealed off for over 50 years. As he reached the entrance of the bunker, his image began to flicker, like a bad television signal. Then, just as he seemed to walk straight through the concrete wall, he vanished. Gone. Miller lowered his goggles again. Nothing. Just the dark, silent woods and the hulking shape of the old bunker. Shaken, Miller finished his patrol, his mind racing. Had he hallucinated? Was it a trick of the light? A product of exhaustion and stress? He couldn't shake the image of the soldier, so clear, so real. Back at the command post, he was hesitant to say anything. Who would believe him? Instead, he quietly downloaded the footage from his helmet camera. He had to see it for himself, in the clear light of day, to know if he wasn't crazy. He plugged the drive into his laptop, his hands trembling slightly. He found the file and clicked play. And there it was. The footage was grainy, but the figure was there, exactly as he'd seen it. The World War II soldier, marching through the night. But the recording had an even stranger quality. The video wasn't crisp and digital like his other recordings. Instead, it was filled with static and a strange visual snow, almost like old film stock from the 1940s. The audio was even weirder. Instead of the clear sounds of the night, the crickets, the wind there was a faint, crackling noise, and underneath it, if he strained to listen, he could almost hear the distant sounds of battle, the muffled pop of rifle fire, the faint rumble of what could have been artillery. It was as if his state-of-the-art digital camera had not only recorded an image from the past, but had somehow been infected by its essence, adopting the technological limitations of that era. It was impossible, yet there was the evidence playing on his screen. Miller showed the footage to a few trusted friends in his unit. Their reactions went from disbelief to stunned silence. They watched the ghostly figure patrol the perimeter. They saw the 1940s-style static, and they heard the faint, unsettling sounds of a long-forgotten battle. The story began to spread. The base historian was consulted. He dug into the archives, and what he found was chilling. The area Miller was patrolling had been the site of a fatal training accident in late 1945. A young soldier, just returned from the European theater, was killed during a live-fire exercise. Near that very bunker, his name, his records, everything matched. He was a young man who had survived the war, only to die on the base he thought was safe. He was forever walking his last patrol. What exactly did Sergeant Miller see? Was it a ghost? An echo of the past, imprinted on the very land itself? Or is there a scientific explanation we just don't understand yet? Some have theorized about a phenomenon called residual haunting, where a traumatic event gets replayed over and over like a recording. Others speculate that the night vision goggles, which operate on specific light spectrums, might be able to pick up things that are normally invisible to the naked eye energy signatures left behind by strong emotions. Perhaps the technology, designed to pierce the darkness, accidentally pierced the veil between timelines. The footage itself is the most compelling mystery. Why would a modern digital camera record in a way that mimics 1940s technology? It's as if the apparition carried its own atmospheric properties with it, a bubble of time that distorted the modern equipment trying to capture it. The static, the sounds of battle. It suggests that the soldier isn't just an image, but a fragment of a moment, complete with its own environment, forever trapped in a loop. These kinds of stories are more common in the military than you might think. Soldiers often find themselves in places steeped in history and conflict, places where the veil between worlds seems thin. They stand watch on ancient battlefields and in historic forts, surrounded by the echoes of those who came before them. The combination of high-stress environments, extreme fatigue, and advanced sensory equipment like NVGs might just be the perfect recipe for witnessing something extraordinary. The story of the Phantom Soldier of 1945 serves as a powerful reminder that the past is never truly gone. It lingers in the soil, in the old buildings, and in the memories that soak into a place. For Sergeant Miller, that night changed everything. The world was suddenly a much bigger, more mysterious place than he had ever imagined. He didn't just see a ghost. He saw a fellow soldier, separated by decades but connected by duty, a silent comrade still standing his post. What do you think happened? Was it a ghost, a glitch in time, or something else entirely? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, be sure to subscribe for more unexplained mysteries.